If you are searching for a video where you can get all the PYQs based on Russian formalism and their detailed explanation at the same time, what kind of pattern they are going to follow in the upcoming examination, this is the video that you are looking for. Hello there, I'm Avik and with me you are watching Your Literary World. Today we are going to talk about Russian formalism, all the PYQs that already came in the NET examination, the WB set examination, at the same time CUET PG examination. As you can see on your screen, without any further delay, let's start. The first question that they asked in NET 2024: arrange the following literary movements in chronological order. So it is giving you a clear indication whatever literary theory or literary movements that you are reading: structuralism, post-structuralism, new historicism, Marxism, eco-criticism, feminism, new criticism, and Russian formalism. Be careful that you have to remember when they came into existence. Say for example, when it comes to Russian formalism, they came in existence in 1910. When it comes to new criticism, they came in existence in 1930s. So these things that you have to be careful of. At the same time, when it comes to feminism, or at the same time eco criticism, although right now we are not using these kind of terms eco criticism at all, we are using environmental humanities. But in terms of eco-criticism also, you are going to find out different waves, just like that you can see in the feminism. So this is the pattern that you have to be careful of, that whatever literary theory, literary movement that you are reading, first go for when they are coming, when they published their ideas, when these movement came into existence. Feminism criticism in the options: feminism criticism, deconstruction, Russian formalism, phenomenological criticism, and cultural studies. As you can see that they have asked these. Not only that, they asked for the chronological order. Russian formalism, we already talked about it. If you want to go for the detailed understanding of Russian formalism and crack all the questions in the upcoming NET examination, then you should focus on the YouTube video that I just shared. You're going to get that video in the comment section. But before start the video, just tell me one thing: how many Russian formalists that you can remember? That is your first question. Second, how many schools are there in Russian formalism? Third question, what are the differences in these three schools? Remember that in these examination of the upcoming December or June, you are going to find out these kind of question. So they are asking clearly the chronological order. So be careful with that, that when you are reading, you have to be careful with the chronological stuff. Now, NET 2020, which of the following statements about formalism is correct? Option A, focus on author and history. Just focus on the term formalism. If you are reading from me, you already know that there are total two ideas. One is Russian formalism, second is new formalism. When it comes to Russian formalism, they are predominantly dealing with literary devices, the forms in it: meter, rhyme, literary devices, all the things. But when it comes to new formalism, they are saying that no, it is not only the form which you can get in the text, but forms can be seen outside of the text, which can be seen in terms of society, the societal hierarchy, the networks also. So network can be seen outside, which one left wing, say for example left wing is connected to the ideology of the left wing, right wing equals to right wing, and same kind of connection can be seen in one book with the other, which is known as intertextuality by Julia Kristeva. That thing I am talking about, the concept of connection. The entire connection has been created in the new formalism by Caroline Levin. In the NET examination, you're going to find out these kind of questions. Caroline Levin is the new theorist in new formalism. So they are asking focus on author and history. Not at all. If I am saying formalism, broader term, new formalism, at the same time the Russian formalism, the old one, focusing on author, not at all. From the very beginning, whether if you go for the Russian formalist or the new formalist, they are not dealing with author in the first place, but they are more concerned about the devices in the text. So first it is the literary device, second is the text that is coming, and then how the text is creating effect on the reader by using those literary devices. This is the idea of defamiliarization. So author is not important, reader is important, but it is the tertiary, 3 number पे वो आएगा in terms of ranking. History, no. But if you go for the idea of new formalism, history is related, but author is not related. So option 1 is not going to be correct. B, focus on external context. In terms of new formalism, it is true. They are connecting the external context with the context of the book, which is the text. But since they are saying formalism, we have to presume, we have to assume that they are talking about purely Russian formalism, not new formalism at all. But if they say new formalism, option B is going to be correct. It is the connection with the external link with the internal link. Two forms are going to be connected. Option C, text as autonomous, emphasize on form and internal structure. It is true. What is Russian formalism? Predominantly, I'm talking about the old Russian formalism, the Opoyas group. They are saying you are in a room, that room is completely closed, no voices from outside, no noises from outside is going to enter. So you are in the room. That room, it is the Russian formalism. It is the text that you have. Whatever you can do in the room, but no noises are going to come from outside. The outside world, you can say it is the history, it is the politics, it is the society, it is the religion. Same goes for, you can say, the concept of Harold Pinter, the room. What is the room is all about? It is a kind of new critical idea that you are in the room, you are completely segregated from the outside, and that outside is going to come through new historicism. For example, they are related to the history now. So this is the fear. So new criticism, sorry, formalism is about the fear that no external thing can intervene the internal structures. Now it is saying that texts are autonomous. What is the meaning of the term autonomous? I already talked about that thing in my recent video. I'm going to share it in the comment section. Just click the link and go through the entire video. You are going to get all the details. I can give you the guarantee that no one is teaching. So text as autonomous. Autonomous means that text have no connection with the external sources, and text as autonomous, this idea is coming from group 2, which is known as Opoyas, Victor Shklovsky predominantly. So text as autonomous means that they have no connection, they has no resemblance with outside at all. Emphasizes on forms. Yes, forms are all about it. They are saying that form is the first thing, device is the first thing, after that text is coming. So text, in terms of ranking, text is second and form is the first, then comes the reader. Remember that, form, text, reader. In the NET examination, when they are going to ask you the chronology, be careful with this idea and write it down right now. So emphasizes on forms like rhyme, literary devices. As you can see that the questions can be seen on my mobile and you can see on the screen also. Focus on reader response. Option D, no. Reader response has nothing to do with Russian formalism. But if you go for the Cambridge critics, specifically I.A. Richards can be considered as, obviously he is a Cambridge critic, but sometimes he is considered as purely new critic. He was not a pure new critic, he was a precursor of the new criticism, just like Coleridge, T.S. Eliot, Matthew Arnold. He is also a precursor, I.A. Richards, and I.A. Richards talked about the reader response theory. So in terms of Cambridge criticism, we talked about reader response theory, but focus on reader response theory in formalism, no, the option is wrong. So option C is going to be the correct one. Now let's go for the second question. These are 4 models on relating literature to history. Which of the following is associated with formalism? Option A, like you have to identify that which idea of these 4 related to Russian formalism. They are saying only formalism, but you have to be careful that they are talking about Russian formalism. Literary texts are universal. Is that correct? Texts are universal. In terms of what? If I say in terms of literary devices, you can find out, okay, literary texts are universal. Say for example, Vladimir Prop. He was a formalist, but at the same time he used the methodology which is known as structuralism, where he produced 31 functions and 7 characters, and he said that no matter where you go in terms of folk tales, you are going to find out these 31 functions no matter what. And it is not like the everyone is going to produce 31, total 31, it can be 21, 25, 31, 30, 1, 2, 5, anything, but no more than 31. So if it is saying that literary texts are universal in terms of forms, in terms of devices, they are universal. You can find out the pattern, the same devices here, at the same time there also. Metaphor is not different from American metaphor, from Indian metaphor. Metaphor is metaphor, isn't it true? So in terms of text are universal. If I am saying in terms of devices, they are universal, not in terms of emotions. Formalism they are not dealing with emotions in the first place. They are dealing with effect on the reader, which is known as defamiliarization. We cannot say all of a sudden that, oh, Macbeth, that character can be seen in our life also, that's the reason Macbeth can be connected with us. No, it is not like that. Specifically when it comes to Russian formalism, they are saying that we are more academician, we are inclined towards academic, we have nothing to do with commoners. So if a common person is saying after reading Macbeth that, oh, I like Macbeth, it's connecting me, it's connecting the history, it's connecting every single thing, not at all. Russian formalism has nothing to do with the common language, the commoners. That's the reason they said that prosaic language or the ordinary language, they are irrelevant. What we need is the poetic language, the poetry itself. This is the perfect literary form through which you are going to get the devices. Isn't it true? This is the idea of Russian formalism. So texts are universal in terms of devices, it is true, and transcend history. Yes, it is. It goes beyond history in terms of Russian formalism. They have no connection with the history. The historical context of their production, the historical context of the production, text is produced, and the context, which is the history, and recognition has no bearing on the literary work. The context has no connection with the literary work in the first place. It is also true, if you want to go the vivid understanding of the literariness and the context and the literary devices, you must visit the video on Russian formalism that I recently posted, which is aesthetically autonomous. Yes, literary text itself is aesthetically autonomous. It has no connection with the outside. That's the reason history, context, they are all irrelevant, because the autonomous connection, which is the literary devices. So text must get the freedom from all the external sources. You can say Russian formalism, they are thinking or they are seeing the text as a body which is full of independence, and that context, which is history, politics, geography, or anything, they are like chains. These chains are not needed. We only need literary devices in order to understand these things, the forms, rhymes, meters, these things. All right. So option A is right now correct. Having its own laws, yes, we have their own laws. The literary devices, these are all laws, na? Rhyme, meters, these are all laws. In integral to proper, yes, it is true. The historical context, option B. The option A is right now, it's correct. The historical context of a literary work is integral. The historical context of literary work is integral to a proper understanding of it. No, history is irrelevant in terms of Russian formalism, but if you go for new formalism, it is relevant. But since they are asking only formalism, go for Russian formalism predominantly. Don't think about new formalism. So B option is incorrect. Literary work can help us to understand the time in which they are set. If they are saying that literary text is going to help you to understand the time, time means, what is the meaning of time? It is the history. So literary text is talking about history, which is the context. It is irrelevant now in terms of Russian formalism. Russian formalism has nothing to do with the context. So why should we go for the context in the first place? There is no need for the context, which is the outside context. All right. So be careful with that. Russian formalism has no connection with the context outside. They are saying तुम अगर अकेले हो तो अकेले ही रहो, पिता या माता या कोई भी वहां पे उनका रेलिवेंस है ही नहीं, तुम अकेले हो, you are alone, you have no connection with the family. So there is no lineage at all. Text must not have any kind of lineage, getting like any kind of ancestry or anything. So be careful with that. So option C is also irrelevant. D, literary texts are bound up with other discourses. If we go for the idea of new formalism, the idea of connection, it is true, intertextuality. But since I am saying that Russian formalism, they are talking about formalism equals to Russian formalism, the option D is going to be incorrect. And rhetorical structures, they are part of history. No, they are not part of history, and that is still the process of being written. No. So option A is the only correct answer, as I provided you the complete definition. Now let's move on to NET 2023. Okay. So facts about Frankfurt School, including the following. What is saying? Facts about Frankfurt School. Now what is the relation with new criticism or for Russian formalism with Frankfurt School? That is the thing. When you are reading a specific literary theory, you must create a specific connection, or else in the examination you are going to be butchered. Say for example, if I say Edward Said was related to Antonio Gramsci, or if I say Friedrich Nietzsche influenced Michel Foucault, you have to be careful how they influenced. Like Judith Butler concept of performativity, it was influenced by Friedrich Nietzsche. Where there is a dance, the dancer is missing. In the same case, only the performance, the person is completely missing in terms of performativity. So these things that you have to be careful of. create the connection. As you can see, they are saying Frankfurt School, so connection with Frankfurt School. All right, so first they have given that it was founded in 1925. Theodor Adorno, Max Horkheimer, these are all related to Marxism. The school developed in terms of critical theory. It's like these are all talking about formalism. Sorry, Frankfurt School. Option D, it has strong ties with Moscow Linguistic Circle. So how many schools are there in terms of Russian formalism? Three schools. First is Moscow Linguistic Circle, 1915 it was established, write it down. Opoya's group, 1916, Viktor Shklovsky predominantly, Moscow Linguistic Circle, Roma Jakobson, and finally the Prague Linguistic Circle in Czech Republic. Remember that it came in 1930. The Prague Linguistic Circle. They are more inclined towards structuralist ideas. So Rene Wallach was there, Austin Warren was there, and at the same time Roma Jakobson was there. So Roma Jakobson was part of two specific schools. First is the Moscow Linguistic Circle, and second is the Prague Linguistic Circle. Opoyas is not related with Opoyas in the first place. Shklovsky is related to Opoyas. So remember that thing. That's the reason I am highlighting that word, Moscow Linguistic Circle. So linguistic circle are going to be important. You are not going to find out any kind of questions based on the linguistic circle, but in the upcoming NET examination, you are going to find out questions related to the linguistic circle. That's the reason I talked about these things again. If you want to get the entire preparation based on Russian formalism, visit the previous video. I can give you the assurance that you are not going to get any questions outside of it, but yes, you have to read the specific concept on your own, which is known as new formalism. Caroline Levin, just remember Caroline Levin, and second was Levinson. Just remember them. You are good for it. When it comes to Levinson, you are going to find out two kinds of formalism. One is the activist formalism, second is the normative formalism. Activist formalism, they are trying to create the connection with the text, with the context. But when it comes to normative formalism, they are more inclined towards aestheticness, which is the autonomy of the text, no connection with the outside. And the second, normative formalism, it is more related, like it was influenced by Immanuel Kant. So write it down. If you are going for Caroline Levin, you are going to find out 4 types of forms. The concept of unity, you are going to find out. The concept of connection, you are going to find out. The concept of hierarchy, you are going to find out. The concept of rhetoric, that you are going to find out. Pattern, that you are going to find out. And she is trying to create that literary form cannot be only seen in text, but literary form can be seen outside of the text, which is the history. Say for example, habit. So habit is not something which can be seen in terms of text now. So you are reading same page again and again. It is the habit, but habit can be seen in terms of us also. Brushing the same way, doing the same work again and again, not living the life properly. These habits can be seen outside at the same time inside. So these forms that talked about Caroline Levin. So remember these kind of things, they are going to ask these kind of questions. There is also an essay which is known as What is Formalism, and it is coming in a text which is known as Thinking Through Poetry by Levinson. So remember this work also. Now, assertion and reasoning, NET 2025. The technique of art is to make objects unfamiliar. What is the concept of unfamiliar or unfamiliarity? It is known as defamiliarization. Can you write down in the comment section what is the alternative name of defamiliarization? We already know estrangement. Apart from estrangement, can you give me another term which is the synonymous to the concept of defamiliarization? Write it down in the comment section. I want to know that how many of you are studying properly. So the technique of art is to make objects unfamiliar. The technique, it is talking about the technique. So it's a technique of art. It makes objects unfamiliar. Object does not mean this jock or something else. It is not about the object that they are talking about. They are saying the object is the text. So whatever you are reading, it is the object. So the text itself is the object, not the outside thing. Like these things are outside. This is not the object. The text is the object. It is talking about the inside. So art is making objects unfamiliar, texts unfamiliar, their ideas unfamiliar, their wordings unfamiliar, to make forms difficult, to make literary devices difficult, to make rhyming difficult. You are going to find out consonants, you are going to find out assonance, you are going to find out alliteration. These things are there now. So by using that, the text is becoming more difficult to decipher. So these things that you have to be careful of. The concept of defamiliarization, it is the concept of unfamiliarity, it is about defamiliarization. Unfamiliar, defamiliar, both of the things are same. Where the habit that I have, you have, everyone is having, is going to be broken completely, and a new form is going to be introduced. In terms of life, if I say, look, like I am brushing with my right hand or the left hand, so if someone is brushing with left hand or right hand, you are not going to be surprised, "Arey, kya dekh liya bhaiya?" You are not going to say in that way, na. But if someone is brushing with their feet, you're going to be surprised, अबे पैर से brush कर रहा है. Damn, that is something unfamiliar. If you say in the net examination 60, 67, 69, 72, 73, these are common marks, but all of a sudden a literature student out of 300 getting 290 is going to be completely unfamiliar thing, na, unprecedented. So by doing kind of intense work, you can get the unfamiliarity also. Say for example, Dhurandhar, if you go for wrong turn, if you go for final destination, all kind of methods which are related to killing you can find out. But at the same time, why we are liking the idea of Dhurandhar? I'm not talking about the propaganda or anything. I'm talking about only Dhurandhar movie, because it is the intensity. When Raymond Dakat was slashing or squeezing the brain of his father, what he was doing, like beating. So it was the intensity through which it's making us unfamiliar. Look at the intensity. We don't want to see, but we are watching. It's kind of the concept of sublime also, as you can see. All right. So after like hitting, he was like, woo! After killing his father, he was like, woo! So this is the unfamiliar concept. He was enjoying that massacre, that murder also. So by intensity, you can make things unfamiliar also. The more intense it is, the more familiar, the more unfamiliar, the more connected that you are going to be. So unfamiliar, the concept which is related to defamiliarization of Victor Shklovsky. Can you tell me in which specific work the concept defamiliarization came into existence? Tell me in the comment section. And to make forms difficult, yes, it is to make the form difficult, and to increase the difficulty and duration of the perception. Yes, like क्या बात है. After watching Dhurandhar movie, you are recommending other people. Why? It is intense. You are going to find out some different things in that movie that cannot be seen in the other spy genre in India. It is completely new, isn't it true? So you are recommending the other people also. Hey, you should watch. You are going for the Major Iqbal, like bol beta. People are just repeating these kind of memes or these kind of status. They are updating these kind of statuses. Why? These are unfamiliar things. Although there are some psychological background in it that we are more inclined towards villains than heroes. That's the reason Joker is more important than Batman still. So it's making the perception, it is making the kind of, you can say, the sensation, the perception more prolonged. You're saying, oh, you should watch this, you should watch this movie, you should read this book, because it is creating a kind of effect in you that it is forcing you in terms of compulsion to recommend other students also. So it is making an effect on you. So defamiliarization, it is breaking the habit, making an effect, and making things prolonged, long effect. Dhurandhar movie. Reason, the process of perception is an aesthetic end, and it must be prolonged. As you can see, the kind of words that you can say, prolonged, increase the difficulty and duration. Prolonged. So the word prolonged is going with the last line of the assertion. Increase the difficulty and the duration. Getting my point? And obviously, in terms of unfamiliarity, aestheticness is going to come. So aestheticness is coming when you are prolonging the sensation in terms of perception. So assertion is true, reason is true, and reason correctly defines assertion. And he's talking about elongating, prolonging the aestheticness, the unfamiliarity. Now let's move on to another question, which is NET 2025. Which of the following statements are correct about research methods? We are not going to go for all the different options, but we are targeting only Russian formalist ideas. So option D, Victor Shklovsky emphasized defamiliarization to disrupt habitual perception. Disrupting habitual perception, all the things which are habituated, all the things which are automatic. Defamiliarization is breaking it. Wow. So it's all about destroying the habitual perception related to the things that we are having in our daily life. All right, through text, obviously. Okay. NET 2020. Which two terms among the following are associated with formalist criticism? Aura? No. Walter Benjamin. Actant? No. Narrative? No. But Russian formalism influenced narratology. If you read Viktor Shklovsky, at the same time, if you read Vladimir Prop, The Morphology of the Folktale, 1928, you are going to find out two terms. One is fabular and another is zoe. By Shklovsky, by Prop, both of them developed this idea, and it is part of narratology, not narrative. Defamiliarization, yes, as I was saying, look how many times they have asked defamiliarization. So Viktor Shklovsky is a writer which they have asked many questions. So don't read only defamiliarization only, just go for labia, the concept of labia, the concept of third factory. You are going to be asked the concept of like his influence in cinema by using defamiliarization. So okay, so 4 is defamiliarization, it is correct. Now foregrounding. Foregrounding is coming from Mukarovsky. Foregrounding is the methodology through which you are achieving defamiliarization, unfamiliarity. Okay, I already talked about foregrounding in the past video of Russian formalism. Watch it. So 4 and 5, defamiliarization and foregrounding, both of them are related to Russian formalism. Now let's move on to NET 2016. Which of the following theoretical movements claimed that the device is the only hero of literature? Device, literary devices. Who are more inclined? Tell me. Tell me, Moscow linguistic cycle is inclined, or Prague linguistic cycle is inclined, or Opoya's group is inclined. You are not going to find out these kind of questions again, that the device is the only hero of literature. It is coming from Russian formalism or new criticism or phonology or deconstruction. They are going to ask you, the device is the only hero of literature. Which specific literary school? And they are going to give you Moscow, Prague, and Opoya's. From them, the idea is coming, and you are going to be baffled in the examination completely, because you are only reading PYQs now. You are not going deeper into it. This is the first layer. Device is the only hero of literature. At least someone is speaking in that way now. Obviously Viktor Shklovsky. Viktor Shklovsky in what group? Opoya's group. So that device is the only hero of literature. It is coming from which group? Opoya's group. 1916. This is the deep layered question they are going to ask you. So device is the only hero of literature. It is coming from Russian formalism, but it is more predominantly coming from the group known as Opoyas. And literary device, as I was saying from the very beginning, it is talking about literary devices, the rhetorics, the rhymes, metonymy, metaphor, synecdoche, everything, simile is the only hero of literature. So device is the primary. Then coming the text, the object, and then coming the reader, the effect on it, and then authors and rest of the things. So predominantly it's not author centric, and predominantly it's not even reader centric. It is based on the devices only. Now NET 20, which of the following statements by Roma Jakobson is true about metaphor and metonymy? Tell me. Metaphor and metonymy, this idea is coming with a disorder. Can you tell me the name? The name of the disorder is, write down in the comment section, pause the video, write it down first, then we are going to move. Answer is aphasia. Aphasia means you cannot create similarity, you cannot combine things. If I go for the example, that chop chop chop, cut cut cut, sweet. So if I say chop chop chop, cut cut cut, I am saying something which is sharp, maybe knife. So I am not producing the word knife. I cannot, in my mind the word knife is not coming. I know the image of the knife, but what I am saying, chop chop chop, cut cut cut. So I am creating similar association through which you can understand that thing. Say for example, अगर मैं बोलूँ रसगुल्ले, a normal person can say rasgulle, but say for example I cannot speak rasgulle. I know what is rasgulle, but I cannot say rasgulle. It is not coming in my brain. I cannot replace it. For example, I cannot replace the word with rasgulle, the pure word, the exact word. So what I'm going to say, sweet, whitish, it's like this size, West Bengal specifically. So you're going to say mishti dahi. No, not mishti dahi, but it's coming, it's watery juice is coming outside of it. Oh, rasgulle you are talking about. So the references that I am giving, it is talking about metonymy. I cannot substitute the word with the similar and exact word. and this is a problem which is known as disorder. Second, if I say I like water, I drink water, subject, verb, object, but those who are having the aphasic disorder, they cannot provide you the structure of the language. Drink water, water, he, that kind of thing. So you have to create it on your own. You have to understand on your own that he drinks water, he is drinking water, but that person cannot tell you, that person cannot combine the word. So selection problem and combination problem. Selection problem, metaphor. Combination problem, metonymy. So option A, metaphor, continuity disorder. Continuity means that combination problem. So metaphor is not continuation, metaphor is about selection. And metonymy, similarity disorder problem, that is the wrong option obviously. Metaphor, similarity disorder. Chop, 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 cut, cut, cut. Association, similarity disorder. Metonymy, continuity disorder, structural problem. So B option is correct. It is a disorder. Roma Jakobson says that there is a disorder. That's the reason you can understand the naturality of it. Daant agar nahi hai, if you do not have any kind of teeth, then you are going to realize the effect and the importance of teeth. When they have this kind of problem, then you can say, okay, this after this disorder, we can say that person is normal. So you can say the person is normal is reflected through the disorder. So remember that. Okay. Net 17. Who among the following theories hold the metaphor and metonymy are the two fundamental structures of language? Roma Jakobson. As I already talked about it, Roma Jakobson talked about the aphasic disorder, metaphor and metonymy. So Roma Jakobson is the answer. List 1, list 2. Competent performance, signifier, signified, metaphor, metonymy, content and expression. Roma Jakobson, metaphor and metonymy. So as you can see, like Victor Shklovsky, they are asking same questions based on Roma Jakobson also. So you should not read only metaphor and metonymy in terms of Roma Jakobson. You must read what is literariness, what is literary device, what are the 6 functions of language, what is the concept of meta language. So the 3 types of translation, all the things I already talked about them in the previous video. Just click the link and watch it. In the comment section you are going to get the link. This is the recent NET examination question. Forget about the idea, the quotation, just go for D. What is new formalism? I already talked about it. Levinson work, what is new formalism? And it is coming thinking through poetry. That is the new pattern. NET June NET examination, they asked what is new formalism. It is an essay. That essay is coming in a work which is known as Thinking Through Poetry by Levinson. So remember the term name specifically. And normative formalism and activist formalism I already talked. NET 2015, which formalist critic mocked character-based criticism by asking how many children had Lady Macbeth? Lewis, Clinbrook, Monroe Beardsley, Elsie Knight. Elsie Knight is the correct answer, although Elsie Knight cannot be considered as a pure Russian formalist. What is the name of the work? How many children had Lady Macbeth? Which formalist critic? So it is a formalist critic, although Elsie Knight is not a formalist purely, mocked character-based criticism. Now the question here is that, Bhaiya, we are talking about text. We are talking about literary devices. So character is the part of it. Is not it true? Yes, it is true. Character is part of it. It is the part of the text and it is the part of literature, and through character you are going to get the devices also. But problem here is, what is the main or the core principle or the true principle of Russian formalism? They are saying that we do not need context which is outside. They are saying if you can find anything in the book, only in the book, that is relevant. Do not create any kind of context outside of the text. So the same thing, how many children had Lady Macbeth? If I all of a sudden say Lady Macbeth had 5 children, I can say that thing, but based on the text, can I prove it? I cannot prove na. So I am creating a kind of hypothesis. मैं guess कर रहा हूँ. I am creating a kind of hypothesis which is coming from external sources. Maybe this, maybe that. But the concrete evidence cannot be found in that text itself. So whatever you cannot find in the text, these are all irrelevant. These are all context. Same if I say, for example, Hamlet. Hamlet was Macbeth's brother.
क्या कोई लॉजिक है इसमें? If I create the logic, at least in Macbeth, at least in Hamlet, you are not going to get the logic. If I say all of a sudden, James Joyce was William Shakespeare's son, I'm just saying James Joyce was William Shakespeare's son. But if you read the text, can you find any kind of reference to which it is saying directly and literally that James Joyce was the son of William Shakespeare? But if I go for the outside context, you know, maybe in the letter James Joyce wrote that I was heavily influenced by William Shakespeare. That's why many critics said that James Joyce was the son of William Shakespeare. So it is outside context, na? Any kind of chitti, any kind of letter. So what is can be considered as outside, what cannot be seen any kind of factual evidences in the text, these are all irrelevant. Just like how many children Lady Macbeth had, all are irrelevant. There is no connection at all. So L.C. Knight, this is the critic who criticized A.C. Bradley. A.C. Bradley, who was more inclined towards this kind of idea, and L.C. Knight heavily criticized the character-based identity. They are saying that just like biography means you are connecting the outside story. है ना? Biography is like that. You are creating the connection with the outside story. So you are, in terms of the books, you are also creating the biography. You are creating the biography of Lady Macbeth. You are creating the biography of Macbeth. So you are taking references outside which do not exist. They are irrelevant. True? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. NET 2016, the book The Prison House of Language, a critical account of structuralism and Russian formalism. It was written by Friedrich Jameson. So remember that. So what they're asking, what they're doing, that look at the thing. The Prison House of Language, a critical account of structuralism and Russian formalism. If any kind of book that you can find the reference of Russian formalism which has been written by a specific theorist which can be considered as very important, then we should say that book is going to be important, just like Friedrich Jameson. Clear or not? Friedrich Jameson was part of, you can say, Russian formalism, but he was more inclined towards the forms of politics. All right, so like we cannot completely say that Friedrich Jameson is Russian formalist, but no, he had that kind of knack towards Russian formalism, although he was connecting the history also, so be careful. Now CUET PG 2023, look at option C, new formalism, and formalism equals to form. So go for option 2, the connect formal aspects, the forms, with historical and political concerns, the forms which is outside, the forms which are outside, the form which is inside, the forms which are inside. So outside forms, inside forms, idea which has been derived from Caroline Levin. I guess it is, no, we have more questions, 2 questions. Which among the following literary critics stated that the object of study of literary science, Boris Eichenbaum, is not literature but literariness? Who provided the idea and the concept of literariness? Roma Jakobson. He provided the idea of the concept dominant, isn't it true? So you have to read that idea of dominant also. That if I say in poetry specifically, literariness, the aestheticness, that no connection with outside world, it is going to be dominant. If we say, if we are talking about poetry, the outside history, the external forms are going to be dominant. There is no connection with the outside in the first place. So Opoya's group equals to Roma Jakobson's concept of poetry and the aestheticness. Simple. Specifically in terms of Victor Shklovsky. So he is saying that literariness, which is the poetic language, and in poetry the aestheticness is going to dominate. There must not be any connection with outside world. And then when it comes to Roma Jakobson, he was more inclined towards the structuralist ideas also. He went to America and he influenced the American academicians also. So it was Roma Jakobson. Now we have more questions, like 2 questions left in one slide. Which of the following is not associated with Russian formalism? Let me take some water. Which of the following is not associated with Russian formalism? So it's like finding the odd one. Same pattern in the net, you are going to find out these kind of questions again and again, no matter what. So be thorough with the writers also. If I say structuralism, you have to be clear that who are structuralists. But if they say that identify the structuralist anthropologist, then you should not go for Ferdinand Saussure. You should pick only Claude Lévi-Strauss, right? So Who among the following is not associated with Russian formalism? George Poliet. All right, he is not important and he is not associated. Victor Shklovsky, Opoya's group. Ekenbaum, Russian formalism as a science. Roman Jakobson, obviously. Now match the following list 1 with list 2. Defamiliarization actor network theory they have asked. Can you imagine net 2025? Match the following list 1 defamiliarization. Who provided the idea of defamiliarization? I am not going to give you the answer. Tell me net 2025 question. Option A defamiliarization is going with which option? Do not say 1 2 3 4. Write down the name in the comment section. I want to watch. So this is the end of our uh, Russian formalism PYQs and the new formalism also. In the next video, we are going to meet with new criticism. So stay tuned. If you are new to this video, subscribe to the channel and like the video and share it with your friends, not with groups. ये काम कभी भी मत करना. ग्रुप अगर किसी का है तो वहां पे एडमिन वो है. शेयर अगर करना ही है, इफ यू वांट टू शेयर, आस्क फॉर द परमिशन, आस्क फॉर द कंसेंट. तुम्हारा घर है ना, मैं अगर ना बोल के वहां पे घुस जाऊं तो कैसा लगेगा? या कोई भी आकर घुस जाए तो वो तो मतलब प्लेग्राउंड है नहीं. So like be respectful. You are student of literature, be respectful. Do not do something which is not good. So if you want to share the link with any groups, then ask the admin for the permission, then only you can share, but else you can share it with your friends. So that is the end of our video, and thank you for watching the entire PYQ session. I can give you the guarantee you are not going to get anything outside of the video that I already shared and the recent video right now that you are going to watch. So have a great day ahead. We are going to meet with new criticism. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.